Yo guys, what is going on? I've got a red-green hybrid deck profile for you guys that I actually played in the DigiFest in Texas Fort Worth this past week, and I had a ton of fun at the event. And as you guys can probably tell, my voice is a little bit shot, so I do apologize in advance, but I really wanted to get this profile out as quickly as possible so I could just rant about how good the deck is, and not only that, but just how much fun I had at Bandai's first official in-person event. That is what Digifest was. At the time of making this, Digifest Miami has not happened yet, but I believe there were a couple more outside of North America that happened, I believe in Europe, etc. But as far as this event goes, it was a 500-person regionals. There were 8 total rounds of play, as well as a top cut that if you went X1 or better, you got to make top 16 and then play the day 2 event, which I do believe was a stream commented by Champ Steven as well as my man Huang Zero. So check that out if you guys want to see the official match. It was really cool stuff. And yeah, so it was just a really great event. I had a ton of fun meeting all of the people I played against. Shout out to all my opponents. I'll probably have my list of decks I played against on screen at some point, but it was a lot of blue hybrid, a lot of red hybrid, lots of Cherubimon as well. I think that was a sleeper deck. Going into this event, I think a lot of people expected yellow-purple to be kind of the best deck, quote-unquote, based off of, Japan had that deck as a very prominent, meta choice for the longest time, but I think due to not only the ban list, but also just getting cards at different times, that has changed, and I think the deck currently now to beat is, of course, blue hybrid, as we've seen from the results of Digifest. So guys, this is my list that I took for the event. I ended up going X2, so I only dropped 2 matches. I finished 23rd, I believe, out of 500 something people. Like I said, very big event. So I think I had relatively good success with this deck. Just barely missed out on day 2, but that was due to my own misplays, not due to the deck being not good enough. There were very few things I think I would change about the deck. So I'll kind of go through main deck choices, side deck choices, all that good stuff, and what your good and bad matchups are. So guys, let's go ahead and get into it. So for the Digi-eggs, this is a red-green mixed deck. So even though there's a lot of green Digimon, we are playing a red base with the 4 copies of RhinoKabuterimon. I think this is the best red egg to go with. I've seen a lot of people playing Demi-Miramon as well. I think RhinoKabuterimon is generally the best because it has a plus 1000 gain just during your turn, not whenever you attack a player. So this lets you beat over Digimon as well. Now the only condition you need to meet is that you have to have a Tamer. But with you playing 9 to 10 Tamers in any given game, that is pretty easy to accomplish. So there are a lot of times when you have like your 2000 rookies bringing out 3000 is a very impressive threshold to to meet. There were a couple times I swung security and just hit into like enemy Bokomons, Syakomon, stuff like that. I think Syakomon's 3000, but you guys get my point. Just being able to swing or crash over like the floodgate rookies and stuff like that is really important. So regardless, that egg I would not change. And then now for the level 3 lineup, so it is going to be red focused in this part of the deck, so 4 copies of BT4 Flamon. Now there were a couple of reasons I chose this over BT7 Flamon, who also searches hybrids but is a reveals 4, but the main reason I didn't choose that guy is because he's a 1000 DP, so against yellow purple, for example, he's not only weaker, but he can easily be destroyed by TK Kari by, whenever they attack, they can suspend that card. And then the fact that he reveals 3 to search hybrids is cool, but that's not really the main reason why he's good. The main reason why he's good is because he's a level 3 hybrid that you can play that only basically red and blue have access to, but there were a lot of times where you play a Bokomon or Digivolve a Beetlemon, you can search this guy and then continue your plays by Digivolving this and breeding, drawing card, etc. Because you are only playing 10 rookies in this deck. So I think BT4 Flamon did its job really well. And then for the level 3s, the Floodgate level 3s, I'm playing 4 copies of Gaussmon. This card was just absolutely crazy the entire tournament, guys. If you have not played in a big kind of event recently, the Floodgate rookies, Cutemon, Syakomon, Gaussmon, the ones that prevent reduction, are admittedly better in a lot of situations than like Gazimon and Terriermons. But of course, they're both kind of floodgates are really, really important, and I am citing the Terriermons. But the Gaussmon is really insane, being able to stop your opponent from digivolving into any of the hybrid level 5s. So in the mirror match, a Rhino or a Jet Sylphie, Beowulfmon, etc., they basically have to pay the full 3 evolution cost of those cards. So it helps end their turn early and just prevents them from getting free pluses off of those cards. Okay, so Gaussmon really, really great. And then the secondary effect, which is unique to Gaussmon, most of the other floodgates are 3,000. He is 2,000. However, during your turn, your other Gaussmons all get 3,000 DP. So if you have 2 on the field, which actually does come up a lot, he boosts himself to 5,000 because they boost each other. And then if you got Kabuterimon underneath them, then it is 6,000. So there are a lot of times where like I can go for game just because I've got 2 6,000 Digimon. Like if my opponent hit an Atomic Inferno in security, I've got 2 Digimon that are 6,000 each, checking 2 cards. So it can get pretty insane. But Gaussmon, overall, really crazy. And then for last rookies, 2 copies of Guillaumon. So this is the promo Guillaumon. When attacking, trigger, draw 1. Just another consistency card. I did want to play more of this, but I think the Floodgate and the fact that this card is a hybrid is like more important than the fact that this is like just draws you a card where these are like, this is searchable and this is just prevents your opponent from playing. But anyways, I wanted to play a little bit of a higher rookie count just to make the deck a little bit more consistent. That is it for the evolvable level 3s and for the best level 3 in the game. 4 copies of Pokemon. No hybrid deck, in my opinion, is complete without 4 copies of this guy. He just generates you so much advantage. There's no reason not to max out on this card. Not only do you get to search amongst 3 different categories, your 10 warriors, your hybrids, as well as any of your tamers, but then you also get to gain 2 memory every single time you evolve one of your tamers. And the broken thing about this deck is the fact that it is so memory efficient. For example, JP, your green tamer, lets you digivolve your hybrids for a reduced cost by 1. So Beetlemon, for example, instead of usually digivolving him for 2, you actually digivolve him for 1. So you actually, instead of breaking even by evolving for 2, gaining 2, you usually go +1 memory with this interaction because of the JP. So Pokemon being able to fetch JP early on and just any of the combo pieces is really, really important. And then for the hybrid level 4s, we've got, of course, 4 copies of Beetlemon. This guy is just unnecessarily good. Like, why is this the only, like, Lobomon, Agumon equivalent that, like, has a really, really powerful on Digivolve effect? So on Digivolve, you get to just reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add a JP as well as any hybrid Digimon. The hybrid part is not color restricted, hence you can get the Flamemon, you can get your Rhino, your RhinoKabuterimon, even another copy of himself. And then that is just when Digivolve, you don't actually have to be on top of JP like you do with RhinoKabuterimon. It's just anytime you Digivolve him. So that's why I actually like this card a lot. In the pure green version as well, if you're playing the pure green with the green eggs, you can like promote a rookie and then Digivolve like a Beetlemon on top of it and get the pluses off of that. So really, really crazy card here. And then your board control card is 4 copies of RhinoKabuterimon. So this card is crazy because on Digivolve, if this has got JP or hybrid underneath it, you get to just suspend something with 6,000 or lower DP. So that encompasses basically all level 4s and lowers. Getting rid of your opponent's Pokemons and the Cutemons and Floodgate rookies is really, really crucial. There were so many times in the tournament that this deck hard loses to like Syakomon, Cutemon, etc. because you need to reduce with JP. Like you have two things that it screws over. Not only like every other deck, the 5 costs or the level 5s that are 1 cost, but also the fact that JP reduces Digivolution costs is just like crazy. So you need to be able to get around that. And then, you have to go into your RhinoKabuterimon to be able to get out your Ancient Beetle. And 1 stacking is really, really important for this deck as opposed to some other hybrid decks that don't really care. So you need to out those cards as quickly as possible. So 4 copies of RhinoKabuterimon will do that. Now he does have to go specifically on JP or a Digimon as a hybrid underneath, like having a hybrid underneath his material. So a lot of times you can go, if you don't have JP, you can like evolve this on any other green tamer, search some cards and then Digivolve for 1 on top of RhinoKabuterimon because he does have the secondary evolution cost. And then the last card here is just 1 copy of Argomon. I was also testing out Petaldragon. I do really like that card, but I think the fact that it's a 3 cost, despite being 7,000 with piercing, just hinders it quite a little bit. Too much for me to play in a tournament. But then that is it for the level 4s. For the level 5s, just playing 4 copies of RhinoKabuterimon. I was originally playing Blossomon and Argomon as well, but throughout testing with one of my buddies, Dak, who is actually kind of the one who spurred me on to play red-green, because I was kind of stuck on the mono-green train for a while. But throughout testing with him, I found that you didn't really need more than just these 4 level 4s. The Blossomons, Argomons were nice. However, they also lose even more to the Floodgate rookies because Digisorption reduces the cost by suspending one of your Digimon. So this is really crazy, because when you Digivolve him, if you've got a Tamer underneath his sources, you get to Digivolve him for 1 cost, again making this deck extremely memory efficient. And then when attacking, he's got the effect, if he's got a Hybrid or Insectoid underneath his sources, you get to Digivolve into any Insectoid or 10 Warriors from your hand onto him for a 3 cost. Now that is an alternate evolution condition, just like Promo Agunimon, so that is not actually stopped by the Floodgate rookies. The fact that you can basically Digivolve into your Ancient Beetlemon, a crazy power card for just a 3 cost, essentially gives this guy Blitz. A lot of times, even if your opponent like puts you 2 memory, you can like evolve a Hybrid over JP for 1, evolve this for 1, like attack one of their Digimon, and then Blitz into Ancient Beetle for a 3 cost, and then Ancient Beetle has a crazy effect that I'll get to in a little bit. But this card not only works with Ancient Beetle, but there's other couple of cool techie cards that this does work with. It also works with like Hercules Kabuterimon. I was considering this for a little while. Bancho Stingmon, Grand Kuwagamon, etc. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can throw in with this. But of course, I think the best one is like Ancient Beetle and Ancient Troymon, of course. So that is it for the level 5s. And then for the level 6s, playing 4 copies of the main boss monster, Ancient Beetlemon, one of the 10 Warriors. So this guy has 2 really insane effects. Well, the first one being where once per turn during your turn, if one of your Digimon with 10 Warriors or Hybrids, including himself, deletes an opponent's Digimon by battle and survives, you get to trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So usually what will happen is you will have a JP underneath this guy. So JP gives the inherited effect of piercing. So let's say you've got some stack like this, where you like the main combos, like I said, you usually want Digivolve on top of JP, Rhino attack into something, Blitz into Ancient Beetlemon, and then Ancient Beetlemon, the attack will connect, you'll delete their Digimon, his effect will trigger first because piercing is always the last thing to trigger in any battle. You'll trash top card of their security and then go through. So you're effectively getting rid of 2 of their security cards. And do I need to mention how broken trashing security cards is in a meta where every deck is playing like Hammer Sparks, Atomic Blasters, the purple cost option whose name I can't pronounce, but I just like to call it White Schwartz, that blows up like everything for the number of Tamers you have. So there's just a lot of really good cards that this gets around because trashing is really crazy. And then of course, if you got something like Atomic Inferno, you can boost this to even more checks. So if you're resolving Ancient Beetlemon, most of the times you're in a pretty commanding position. And then not only that, but on deletion you get to float into any of your other level 4 or lower hybrids, just like the other Ancients, like Ancient Greymon and Ancient Garurumon. Now, for the other level 6s, I am not actually main decking Ancient Troymon. I was playing 2 copies of Argomon level 6, the BT5 Argomon. So if you guys don't know what this card does, this card is absolutely bonkers against every single hybrid deck. He has Digisorption -2, of course, so you can reduce his cost by 2 just by suspending something on your field. But then on the when Digivolving, you've got the effect of suspend all of your opponent's Tamers. As if that wasn't good enough, all turns your opponent's Tamers do not unsuspend. So essentially, you can Digivolve this, and it's a floodgate that prevents all of your opponent's Tamers from unsuspending, so that when they Digivolve on top of those Tamers, the hybrids that come out will also be suspended, preventing them from realistically like doing anything in this matchup. So if you can keep this guy, if you can establish Argomon and keep him on the field, then you're in a pretty good position versus basically every single hybrid deck in the game, because you shut off their main mechanic. Now, the only real downside about this package, right, is that you're playing a kind of inconsistent amount of level 6s, so you will see a lot of these in hand, but the bad thing is that this guy is not searchable, whereas Ancient Beetlemon is searchable off of Bokomon because he is a 10 Warriors and you can blitz into him with RhinoKabuterimon. There is no such interaction or searchability with the Argomon, so it makes it slightly less consistent, but of course I think if you're playing a green deck in BT7, you need to be playing this card. There is no other way around it. I think this card is one of the best in the game to counter the current meta, and it was just insane every single time I resolved it. It single-handedly wins you games. So that is it for the Digimon, and then for the Tamers and option cards, playing a lot of them. So first of all, 4 copies of JP Shibayama. So JP, I think, is one of the most broken tamers in the game. So for only 3 cost, now he doesn't have an on-play effect, of course, but for a 3 cost, you've got the effect of 1, you get to reduce the cost of any hybrid you digivolve into. So Argomon, RhinoKabuterimon, Beetlemon, like I said, you can evolve all of those guys for 1. So digivolving into these guys, like digivolve for 1, suspend opponent's Digimon, attack over them with piercing, or like digivolve for 1, effect, reveal top 5, get a +2, and then, you know, go into like a RhinoKabuterimon on top of that or something. There's just so many crazy combos you can do, so I think you absolutely need to max out on this card. JP is just so crazy, and then not only, of course, is he searchable off of the Pokemon, but of course Beetlemon as well, so it just makes it ultra consistent. You want to see this card every single game. You want to open with this card, so it is just absolutely crazy. And the Mulligan rule helped that as well. I guess I didn't even really mention that. For those of you who didn't know, Digifest was not only testing out the rule of mulligans, where if you don't like your hand, you get to mulligan the top 5 you put on the bottom of your deck in any order, redraw your 5, and then play with that. But so mulligans definitely helped out the deck's consistency as well, and I think that lets you get away with it. It basically, I think, makes you play the deck the way it should be played. You don't have to like play a bunch of rookies just to like be able to see your combo pieces, just to be able to play the game, and you can instead focus on what your deck wants to do best, which is control the board and beat down your opponent and hit them really hard. So then for the Memory Tamers, playing 3 copies of the Queen Mimi Tachikawa. So Mimi, I've seen a lot of people play Ken Ichijoji instead of Mimi, which I definitely think is really good as well. Ken is also a Memory Tamer, Green Memory Tamer, but he's got the effect of whenever one of your Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon, you can suspend him to gain a memory, whereas Mimi, of course, gives you another breeding phase. I think Mimi helps with consistency much more, and there are a lot of times where you can, like, if you got double Mimi, you can like hatch and promote a rookie in the same turn, and it's able to like attack, right? So being able to do this while you have Ancient Beetlemon or RhinoKabuterimon or Argomon, just getting like an additional dude and out of your breeding area every single turn and drawing cards off the Digivolution is really important. I think I would not change this to Ken, although I do think he's a good card. I much prefer Mimi. She was amazing all day. And then for the other Tamers, I'm playing 2 copies of Starter Deck Izzy. This is mainly good because it is a 2-drop, so against most decks where you really want to be as conservative as possible with your memory in this format, you really don't want to like ever give your opponent more than like 2 or 3. So letting you choke your opponent if they don't have a Memory Tamer with this is really crazy. And then of course just being able to, anytime you Digivolve into like a RhinoKabuterimon, suspend something, or anytime you Thunder Laser, you can suspend this to gain a memory. There's a lot of situations where like if you've got JP but they've got like a Floodgate, so you can't reduce the cost. So like my opponent would put me to 1, and then I've got JP, I can Digivolve this for 2 since I can't reduce, suspend a Digimon, suspend this to go back to 0, and then like continue my plays. So this helps you go get around the floodgates, and then obviously makes like Thunder Laser a free option card to activate. And then I'm also just playing 1 copy of Izzy Mimi, or as I like to call Mizzy. This card I think is really important in the mirror match and against yellow. I was testing out multiple copies, but I really didn't like it. I think it's fine as a 1-of. So it's got the effect of where if your opponent's got a suspended Digimon at the start of the turn, you gain 2 memories. So it also kind of forces your opponent to just like play conservatively, unless like they're playing red where their stuff is gonna die at the end of the turn anyways, then you're just screwed either way. But this is nice because it basically either makes it so that your opponent doesn't attack you, or you just gain like extra 2 memory every single turn, which lets you like double hybrid for game a lot of the times. And then I actually did resolve Mizzy's second effect once, where you can when attacking, you can reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and if you reveal a level 6 green Digimon, you can Digivolve it on top of one of your Digimon for 0, like while you're battling. So there was a couple, like there's one time where I swung with like a Rhino Kabuterimon, but I didn't have like a target in hand, but then I revealed 3 and then Digivolved like into an Ancient Troy, and then I had Piercing, and then I got to control the board from there on out. So it's really cool, but I do think it's mainly relevant for the memory part. So that is it for the Tamers. And then for the option cards, playing probably the best one in the deck, 3 copies of Atomic Inferno. Now going forward, one of the things I would change about this deck is maining 3 is fine, but I would definitely side the 4th Atomic Inferno. There's a lot of matchups where you just want to kill your opponent as quickly as possible, and you don't care that it's a little bit inconsistent, because if you like open 2 off your starting hand, you can just like mulligan, put them back. This is also like a literal FTK in security. If your opponent hits Atomic Inferno in security and they don't kill you that turn, you are destroying them next turn, because if you guys don't know, so Atomic Inferno has the effect of where one of your hybrid Digimon gets security attack +1 plus 3000 DP, which are the relevant parts, and then if for some reason your opponent is playing blockers, which no one is, if they block that Digimon, you gain 3 memory. Now, its security effect lets you give all of your Digimon security attack +1 until the end of that turn. So basically, your opponent hits this in security, checks this, and then on your next turn, all of your Digimon get security attack +1. This is an Ice Wall-like effect, so it affects Digimon that are not even in play yet. So if you've got like a Tamer on the field, and then you like Digivolve into like a hybrid, and then attack with it, it'll still check an extra card, even though it wasn't on the field. So it's like a blanket effect that affects everything coming into the field, is how I like to think about it. So Atomic Inferno, just a crazy powerful card. This also makes the Ancient Beetle combo even more insane, because with this, now the thing you need to keep in mind if you're playing this deck, you can't actually like Atomic Inferno Ancient Beetle, because it's a 10 warriors. This specifically says has to be a hybrid. So what you need to do is like activate this, target like one of your other 2 Digimon, and then it'll like follow it when you Digivolve. So like you can like have it RhinoKabuterimon, play Atomic Inferno, use it on this attack, and then it'll carry over when you Digivolve into Beetlemon. Then that interaction, this will trash the top card, and then check 2 with Piercing if you got the JP. So it's just an absolutely crazy aggressive card, and lets you just seal the deal with like anytime you see it, basically. So this card's really crazy. 2 copies of Thunder Laser. This was awesome. I was siding the 3rd, and there are a lot of games where you want to see more than 2, but honestly, this is probably the most cuttable card in the deck. Despite it, like, I do think this card is really, really good. Don't get me wrong at all. If you're playing pure green, I'd probably play 4 of this card. But in red-green hybrid, there's just too many other cards you need to play, and the deck's already inconsistent enough at times. Like, you're definitely doing things to max out your consistency. But you're playing, like, 8 option cards and, like, 10 Tamers, right? So there's definitely hands where you don't open Digimon. So this was fine, especially because you're still playing this to help get over bigger things. There's a lot of times where you can, like, boost your Metal Kabuterimon to like 9,000 and attack over like a Jet Sylphie or like a suspended level 5, basically. So that's really cool. And then the last 2 cards, which was just crazy every single time it was resolved, was Atomic Blaster. This helps you out a lot of cards. Against Cherubimon, this card is insane, because a lot of the time they bring back like Starmons or Bokomons and Bushis and stuff, so being able to just clear like 3 or 4 things is insane. And then against basically every other deck that leaves out Bokomons and Floodgate Rookies and maybe Searchers like Strabimons and stuff, this is still like a board wipe against this. So I think you still need to play some sort of defensive card, even though this is a very aggressive deck. So Atomic Blaster, absolutely crazy. I was playing this over Gigastorm. Originally I was playing Gigastorm, but my friend Dak convinced me to switch to this just because usually it kills more things, and it's also a much cheaper play cost. And that is the kind of the key thing of why this deck is so good, because it's very, very memory efficient. Okay. So then for the side deck, I played 3 copies of Terriermon, 2 copies of Nemon, 2 Atomic Blaster, 1 Ancient Troy, 1 Taikamiya, and 1 copy of Thunder Laser. So I'll kind of talk about each of these. Atomic Blaster, self-explanatory. I just talked about how good this card is. So having 3 to 4 in any given matchup, you can honestly like main the other 2 copies. This card is so good against everything. And then Thunder Laser, like I said, just in some other slower matchups, like against Yellow, where you just want more board control and you don't want to let them like resolve their effects. Like getting rid of like a Gazimon that has like a Xiaomon underneath it during your turn is really important. Tai comes up a lot in the mirror match, so this puts like your RhinoKabuterimon at 9,000, your Ancient Beetle 14, etc. So it just lets you beat over your opponent's deck that's playing like literally the same monster counts. And then even in some other matchups, like against Red Hybrid, I cited this in because they're also the only other deck with a level 5 that's 8,000. Aldemon's 8,000, whereas like Beowulf, Jet Sylphie, they're all 7k. So this was really important against that matchup. Ancient Troy is really good against purple. I honestly hate this card though. This like never did anything for me in the entire event. But it is, I think you still have to play it against just like more traditional decks and decks that aren't like hybrids. Terriermon, self-explanatory. This card is insane against any deck playing like Hammer Sparks, Howling Memory Boost, against Lilith Loop, etc. So I think you do have to play this. It unfortunately isn't as good as it should be because everyone knows that like everyone is playing Floodgate Rookies. They just side for it. Like blue is playing like Supreme Cannon and Forbidden Trident. Purple is playing like Deathclaw and Elecmons and stuff. And then red's playing like Atomic Blaster. So there's just so many other ways to out this that like you could low key like get away with not even playing this. I don't think I really impactfully resolved Terriermon like once. Like every time I had it, my opponent just got rid of it instantly. So that's the unfortunate thing about it. And the Nemon, this card is really, really good against the mirror match as well as in the yellow matchup, which I played one yellow-purple, I didn't play any mirror matches. But this lets you basically, anytime one of your Tamer like stacks dies, you get to just replay like a JP or Mimi from graveyard. So it gives you a little bit of longevity when you're not just trying to punch your opponent really hard and go for game. So Nemon, I think, was really good. The only thing that I would change in this side deck, probably, I would definitely cut this for like the 4th Atomic Inferno. I think that's way more important. I might try to fit in like Gaia Forces or something, because there's other times where if you're playing against, like I said, the mirror match and they play Argomons, or if you're playing against purple and they've got Neo Devis, that's just another block card you might need to play, either Gaia Force or like Gigastorm or something. And then honestly, I hate this card, so I probably wouldn't play Ancient Troymon and Terriermons. I think Gaussmon is just better in most scenarios, and the fact, like, if you're playing pure green, Terriermon's definitely the way to go, but in red green, you have to hard play this from your hand for 3, and then your opponent's just gonna get rid of it next turn. So I honestly, like, as weird as it sounds, I don't even think you need Terriermon in red green. So if you are playing Christmas 7-Up, whatever you want to call it, I think these cards were solid. Like, I sided these in all the time. Every time I sided these in, I either like didn't feel any impact, or they just got outed real quick. So I would probably swap these out for like just more removal cards, and honestly, probably like Gravity Crushes. Gravity Crush lets you like just go for a game really hard. So like Gravity Crush, more Atomic Infernos, and just like removal cards is probably what I suggest. So I will say that as far as Digifest goes, the side deck in Mulligan I really, really loved, and I hope these changes do stick in the Digimon TCG. I absolutely love playing with them. But yeah, guys, that is going to do it for the deck profile of my Digifest list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you want to know more about like the specific matchups I played, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. I can talk about that more. But basically, like I said, I played against a lot of blue, which I think your hardest matchup is probably blue, just because they can stun you and stop you from attacking with like Rhino. So you just have to play safe and like not commit anything. You need to get rid of their Styakomons and stuff early on, so you can actually go and build your ancient like stack in one turn. So blue's pretty hard. Cherubimon's a little bit of a tricky matchup, especially because, oh, that's another card. Rebellimon is a complete menace to this deck because you can't swing over with like Ancient Beetle and stuff because of retaliation. So you need cards to out Rebellimon like this and like Gigastorm as well. So Rebellimon and Cherubimon, the deck is just crazy because they get to just board wipe you and soul charge the next turn and recover and boost your free game and stuff. So those matchups were pretty hard. Everything else, yellow purple, is like the easiest matchup in the game, and every traditional deck is just too slow to even compare. But anyways, guys, so rant's long enough. That'll do it for this video. But thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.